Hi, I'm Vanessa, and this is my Dispositions project. So, some background about me is that I earned my bachelor's degree from Penn State University in elementary and early childhood education. I did this because neither of my parents went to college, and so they wanted me to go to college. I decided to be a teacher because as a child, I moved around a lot, which caused me to struggle in school. So I just kind of wanted to be someone that students could count on in order to help them. And then I'm currently working towards earning my master's degree in STEM. And I decided on STEM because I had a great STEM teacher that I worked with in Reading, and she made learning very inquiry based and captivating. And I oftentimes felt also captivated myself in her lessons when I was helping her. So I kind of just really wanted to learn how to be a STEM teacher and how to kind of bring that into my classroom. So, for my teaching style and how I think students learn best, I think students learn best when they feel safe and supported, first and foremost. So, at the beginning of the year, we really go over our rules together and build them as a class. And then I make sure to pick out expectations that make sense to my students and explain them in a way where they understand why we're doing what we're doing. And then my hope with that is that if they have a classroom that they feel safe and supported, then they feel more comfortable to make mistakes in their learning process. The next thing is that students need lessons to be engaging and relatable. So I noticed that students really have more of a buy in when it makes sense to them and relates to their life. So you kind of have to create that in your lessons and make it relate to them and their life experiences and what kind of they need right now. And another way that I make my lessons engaging is that I try to find as many ways that I can allow choice, either in my assessments or in my classwork for students. And then a lot of my projects that I have are what I use for my assessments as well. And they, a lot of the times, can be very fun for students and allow a lot of choice as well and kind of freedom to be creative, which they love. And then the last thing that I always love to bring into my classroom is collaboration. Students need that social engagement. They want to talk, they want to share their ideas. Some students feel more comfortable sharing in a small group setting with, their seatmates. So collaboration is just the best way to engage everyone. And I do that to try to build more of a community connection as well. So, some issues that I've been noticing with teaching, the first one Professor Dweck mentioned was that employers are complaining about workers not being able to make it through the day without an award, which I kind of found to be crazy. Sorry about my dog. um, but I see that in the classroom as well. So, we are a heavily PBIS school. We actually just got an award for it. So, ties right into that award right there. We have awards for everything. We have bus awards, we have cafeteria awards, we have B tickets, we have B referrals, we have golden tickets, we have you name it, we have a ticket for it. So when students need that constant validation, that is more closely linked to having a fixed mindset. And what Professor Dweck said in the video was that as teachers, we need to make sure that we are praising wisely. So we are praising the processes that students are doing. We're praising their effort, their strategy, and their focus. We're not just saying, good job, you did it, here's a ticket. We're kind of explaining maybe why they got the ticket, what they did to earn it, just a little bit better. And I really try not to give out tickets for things that students should already be doing, which kind of makes me upset because some teachers give them out for doing nothing. So I really try to teach my students that if you're getting this award, it's for a very good reason. And something else that she mentioned in her video, she had a math game where students earned that praise through their processes and their effort through brain points, which I thought could very easily be tied into the classroom and be used as well as a strategy. The next thing I see being a big issue more and more is technology and specifically affecting students' social and emotional intelligence. Students are spending way less time socializing and interacting with their peers and their parents and siblings. So, in one of the articles, it said paying attention on purpose, being in the present moment, and non judgmentally unfolding the experience moment by moment. The idea is for individuals to be aware and conscious of their thinking processes. So, I see this happening less and less because students are so just wrapped up into whatever they're doing on their iPads or trying to be doing on their iPads, that they're not really in the moment and they're not really conscious of their learning. And especially with any sort of like math or ELA or even science, like app or game, a lot of the times it's just kind of like mind numbing to them. And they aren't thinking about what they're doing when they're playing that. And then another thing that the article said was thus, teachers' understanding and modeling of self regulation skills play an important role for encouraging students to learn and practice self regulation skills. So I see this more and more becoming an issue with the technology, them not paying attention, not having that social and emotional intelligence. So, therefore, teachers have to kind of do more and more of it in the classroom, which just adds one more thing to our plate. And then for my dispositions, I kind of pulled out a couple from each of the different theories. So for the constructivism theory, this is building on students' prior knowledge. It said create a community of collaboration in the classroom that may provide opportunities for learners to interact more and develop thinking dispositions. So I know building that sense of community is already something I do in my classroom, but I just would like to learn some new strategies where I can develop that even further and kind of deepen their thinking. And then the next one was from the incremental theory, which is having that growth versus fixed mindset. Mindsets can shape social success at school as well as academic success, and this is promising for educators and parents. So, even though students are struggling socially and emotionally, still working to have that growth mindset, which can help shape their social success at school and their academic success. So, just finding some different strategies to help with having more of a growth mindset. And then the last one would be that emotional intelligence, which again ties into one of my issues. Richard discusses the role of emotion before thought and how emotions can direct our short and long term thoughts. When we encounter a situation that we can feel empathy for, then our emotions may guide us to do something about the situation. So I definitely see empathy and emotional intelligence as an area where I want to find strategies to help improve my teachings for my students. And then just some of my concerns. So there is, um, it can feel a little overwhelming at times to connect the theories to real classroom situations. So as I was kind of reading through these articles, it was a little bit hard to connect those. And then I'm also worried about making sure that I'm applying these concepts correctly to support students with a variety of academic and behavioral needs in my classroom, which I kind of mentioned in my first discussion post. And then I learn best when I can connect the new information that I'm learning to real life classroom experiences and in practical examples. So that would just be how I learn best. And then here are my references.